Well, you never stop learning in this gardening game, and you never stop experimenting and trying out new things. Hello Mr. Robin, we are experimenting with a bit of no-dig gardening here. Let's just retreat out of here. There we go. Yes, so this is one of our raised beds, and here's our other one just over here, here in the school garden, and we thought we'd give it a go with this no-dig gardening. So first of all we had to scrape off some of the soil because the soil level was already quite high, well, very high in this bed, and we needed to lose a couple of inches of that soil, which is great because we had other uses for that soil around the school grounds, waste not, whatnot. In order that then we could put this layer of cardboard down. So we've been recycling cardboard boxes like billy-ho around the school, only using cardboard that hasn't been kind of plasticized or coated in paint or anything. So plain old boring cardboard. Got as much of the sellotape off as possible, and then kind of put a layer of that down. Probably the ideal time to have done this would have been in the autumn. We're doing this now in the spring. The advantage of doing it in the autumn was it would have given the cardboard a few months to kind of disintegrate and rot down as it comes in contact with the soil. And then we're mulching over the top with, actually, this is very well rotted manure, kind of manure-y compost here, so very rich. I would probably be a little bit hesitant about sowing seeds into this, so we are going to mulch over. That's kind of putting a layer of it over to smother the cardboard and kind of mound it up, and then leave it probably until probably early June, late May, probably early June, 2 months, in order that we get past the risk of frost. And also it'll give a chance for the rain and the weather and the worms and all the microorganisms, wow, fantastic, the bacteria and so on, fungi, in the soil to do their magic and start working the nutrients into the soil underneath. And I think we probably need to, with our normal bed here, which I'm about to dig over, we'll probably spread some sort of a layer of this compost, manure compost, on top of there as well. Probably not going to have room for as much as we have in the other bed, just so that we can compare the difference between no dig with rich compost on top and dug with compost on top. And we'll see if we can plant at least some of the same plants in each bed to see what the results are. So that's the plan. I need to now get shoveling the brown stuff into this bed and get a nice neat finish to that. Here goes. In case you're wondering why would we do this, why would we and why not only us, why are gardeners all around the world experimenting with no dig gardening? Well, it's something that has been around for a long time, but there's been a resurgence in interest to it. People like Charles Dowding, kind of heroes of this cause. You'll find him on YouTube. He knows much more about it than I do, and others. I have to say, I went to an online workshop about no-dig gardening back before Christmas, a couple of months ago, and it's just a recognition, actually, that we need to partner with nature, with all the microorganisms. They reckon that in a handful of good quality humus-rich soil, there can be more microorganisms in that one handful than there might be people in the whole of the world. Just think about that. The population of your town, the town that I live in, is kind of 50,000. The borough is about 100,000. That is a huge number of people, but that's nothing. That's a drop in the ocean to what is in one handful. One handful of this of this stuff, really rich soil, and all those microorganisms, they work together. They know what to do with soil much more than we do. They know how to break it down, to crumble it, to make it the most receptive kind of soil for plants. They know how to break down the organic matter and produce nutrients and just get the natural balance in the soil. So that's why, the reason we don't like digging, well, actually, that's not true. I love digging, but the reason we're considering not digging is because as you dig, you destroy a lot of the underground cultures and systems, ecosystems that establish over time in the soil. And rather than destroying them, we want to nurture them. So we go through this process of mulching. Mulching is putting that layer of organic matter on top of the soil and allowing the worms and the other organisms in the soil to gradually work that compost, that organic matter, down into the soil where it can feed our plants. So it's a completely different way of looking at it for someone like me who's been to college and studied horticulture and been gardening for 50 odd years. This, in many ways, goes against the practices that I've been taught, but it resonates with my sense of how nature works, and that desire to partner with nature. So I'm excited about giving this a go and showing you the results. Now that's part of the magic there with this well rotted manure, composty manure. You get little beauties. You get little beauties like these worms here. As I was shoveling this latest lot off the pile into the barrow, there must have been hundreds of worms in the mix there. So that's always a good sign. Of course, if you haven't got access to really well rotted manure, there are other materials you could use. Let's have a look at our compost heap, for example. No video on no dig gardening would be complete without talking about compost. So here's our compost heap here at the school. Good old pile there. It's a mixture of leaves and bits of dead plant and maybe some weed, maybe some old compost, all mixed in together. Maybe a bit of shredded up cardboard, maybe some straw, maybe some newspaper. Any kind of woodier stuff we leave to that end there, because we don't want that mixed in with the compost initially. In a year's time, that'll work down and go on the bottom of the fresh compost pile, so that a year after that, it'll have been rotted down and make good compost. So we have a kind of year by year rotation going on. That's kind of year one with the rough stuff, year two of rough stuff, and year one of some fresh stuff. And then we will kind of turn that out through the course of this year. I'll probably use some of this actually. It's not very well rotted on the top, but further in we're going to get some we're going to get some nice crumbly compost. It's been quite warm in there. It's cooking. There's lots of microorganisms doing their stuff. So maybe in a couple of months' time, when we're ready to plant into that well rotted manure, we might use some of this stuff, which isn't going to be quite as strong nutrient wise. We can mix some of that in to kind of dilute down the strength of the compost and make the planting medium more receptive to our plants. But I think by next year we will have sufficient quantities of our own homemade compost to be able to support us as we go further into this no dig gardening. And of course, the other thing that we can do is we can mix in some of this wood chip here. We shred up all our branches. We've got a wood chipper. The pupils love using that. So yeah, we can mix that into the compost pile as well, and we'll end up with some really good rotated compost that ideally should be probably between a year and 2 years old, 18 months on average. Good stuff. The answer's always in the soil. That's what they used to say. There we are. You can see we're almost there now. There's a few little bits of cardboard over here that need covering. Another couple of barrelfuls and probably will be done. The reason we're putting the cardboard in there is to provide an extra barrier to stop any of the weeds that were kind of dormant underneath the soil coming up. So it just gives us an extra little bit of protection from any weeds, and then we cover it with this compost to finish the job. And that's what I got to do now. Another couple of barrows and we will be done. Well, there we go. Job done. Nice and even look in there. I think probably, truth be known, I could lose another couple of wheelbarrowfuls on there and just kind of grade it out, because it's going to compact down with the rain that's forecast to come in, and as it just settles down now over the next couple of months, we could just lose another barrow or two just so we get a good thick layer on there throughout. But that's job done, and now step 2 is to start digging this little lot over and see if we can get a little top off of manure on there as well, composty manure. We shall of course keep you posted and look forward to your comments and questions. Thank you very much.